Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for March 21st, 2025. We're going to start today with part of an article from the Salt Lake Tribune that says, speaking at a women's conference this month in Arcadia, California, Apostle Dale Renlund tackled head-on a question about the church's lack of gender equality and representation. Small interjection here. He is in fact not going to tackle this head on. He's not going to tackle it at all. Back to the article. The reason for the asymmetry between men and women regarding priesthood office and ordination has not been revealed, Renlund said. Any proposed reason for that asymmetry with regard to priesthood office ordination is speculative. See? Not head on. He didn't tackle it. What he did was skirt the question by doing what Mormon leaders do when they don't want to answer it honestly. They throw God under the bus. These men are all very well educated, and I suspect there's part of him that knows the reason or reasons women don't have more power in the church. I suspect he understands very well the patriarchy. The article goes on to say, the absence of a reason, the former heart doctor cautioned, doesn't give us license to change the asymmetry just because we want to. AKA, God, stay under that bus. You can't come out and say that this oppression of women was men's idea. It'll make us look bad. Renlund did, however, assure the hundreds of women gathered to hear him speak that any unfairness that's created by the asymmetry can and will be made right through the atonement of Jesus Christ. No, he did not. OMG. God will be able to come out from under the bus because when he threw his son on a cross, his son agreed to come and save him anyway. Renlund, this is bad. In the meantime, he observed church leaders haven't done as good a job as I think we can to address existing imbalances within the bounds that God has set, he concluded, so we're going to do better. You know what would have been really nice was for him to outline exactly how they are going to do better, and then actually start doing those things. Renlund's comments about ordination in the faith's all-male priesthood echoed a similar warning he issued 3 years ago regarding the church's belief in Heavenly Mother. I wish we knew more, and you may wish you knew more as well, but reason cannot replace revelation, the apostle said at the time. Wanting to know more, asking questions is not a bad thing, but speculation can sometimes divert us from what has been revealed. Did you catch when he said, reason cannot replace revelation? That's a really great thought-stopping cliche, which, if you aren't familiar with that term from Wikipedia, a thought-stopping or terminating cliche, also known as a semantic stop sign, a thought stopper, bumper sticker logic, or cliche thinking, is a form of loaded language often passing as folk wisdom intended to end an argument and quell cognitive dissonance. What do you think? Did Renlund tackle that question head on? Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Now let's talk about celestial recycling. If you go to their website, you'll be greeted with this message. Are you an endowed member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? If that's the case, you likely have a pile of old temple garments or robes that need to be cut up and disposed of. You may have hesitated for two main reasons. Cutting them up can be quite a hassle. Once they're cut, the only choice is to send them to a landfill, which is a frustrating waste. Fortunately, Celestial Recycling has found solutions to both of these issues. We have created a recycling program for your sacred temple garments and robes. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Latter-day Saints, to be worthy, are required once they have been endowed in a Mormon temple to wear underwear that the church first makes and then sells to them. When these underwear, that are akin to a t-shirt on top and long biker shorts on the bottom, inevitably get worn out or don't fit anymore, members are not supposed to just throw them away or donate them. They have to cut out the symbols on them and then dispose of them. Most people I knew cut out the symbols, burned them, and then threw the rest of the garment in the trash. The ceremonial clothes worn in the temple also are not supposed to be thrown out or donated because the church doesn't want their secret ritual clothing seen by people who aren't members. Too bad the internet has ruined that for them already. I actually think this company that recycles Mormon undies is a great idea. I think an even better idea, though, would be for the church to stop requiring garments and temple clothes and then selling them to their members so that the members have to then spend more money if they want to have them recycled. Now let's go to the Mormon church-owned KSL for an article that will omit the Mormon connection of an alleged abuser. Don't worry, I'll fill in the gaps with the help of floodlit.org. A life skills coach in Tooele has been arrested after allegedly grooming and SAing multiple clients. Douglas Richens, 52, was booked into the Tooele County Jail on Wednesday and charged Thursday in 3rd District Court. Richens is a co-owner at Gray Space Experts, 102 West, 1180 North in Tooele, Utah. A woman recently contacted Tooele police and told them she began to see the life coach Douglas Richens, and she allowed herself to be very vulnerable with him and talk about her problems, a police booking affidavit states. At the end of her session on March 4th, Richens allegedly slapped the woman's butt and said, "Oh, that was inappropriate," but never apologized or said anything else, the affidavit states. After discussing the incident with her husband, the woman went to police. Good job. Good job. Thank you for reporting. The woman told me she made contact with other women who had seen Mr. Richens at Gray Space Experts, and they reported Mr. Richens had groomed them. I later interviewed these women who provided statements to me, which I reviewed. The incidents these women reported did not appear to violate any state or federal statute, but it all seemed very unprofessional and inappropriate. The statements also appeared to be possible attempts to groom the women based on my training and experience. I was told that other women wanted to talk to me about being groomed by Mr. Richens, but I have not interviewed them yet, the arresting officer wrote in the affidavit. On Monday, the same detective was assigned another case in which a teen girl claimed she was inappropriately touched by Richens, according to the affidavit. She stated she had approximately 4 or 5 sessions with Mr. Richens, and he made her do strange stretches that made no sense to her, the affidavit states. The girl said she knew what Mr. Richens was doing was wrong, but she did not know how to make him stop. While looking into that case, the detective learned of a third incident in 2020 involving a young girl who says she was essayed by Richens at his home, the affidavit states. Richens was questioned about the alleged abuse a few years ago, but refused to comment, asking for a lawyer to be present. The girl and her family eventually found the investigation to be very difficult and asked that the case be closed and no longer involve their daughter, according to the affidavit. On Tuesday, police contacted the girl's family again. This time, the family said the girl, now in her teens, felt much stronger and wanted to proceed with pressing charges, the affidavit states. Now, let's go to floodlit.org for the promised fill-in information and the Mormon church connection. Prior to starting his coaching business, Richens worked for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 23 years. Positions Richens held there included seminary teacher, principal of Eagle Seminary, international director of disability services, and manager of special programs and services regarding crime and incarceration. Richens spoke at a December 2018 chaplain training event for the LDS Church, where he said, about a little over a year ago, we were with the Quorum of the 12 discussing the Unaliving Prevention and Ministering website. The name of the site was Unaliving Prevention, and we knew that that title did not address or call out to those who had lost a loved one. If you had lost a loved one, you wouldn't think to go to a site called Prevention. We needed a broader name. It was then in that meeting when President Nelson, then president of the Quorum of the 12, gave us the title that you see on the screen now. Everyone in the room looked at the word ministering and thought, well, that's not us, that's not our language. But we said, yes, we would. And we changed the site. And then, of course, as this last year has unfolded, that word has become so significant to us and is improving our capability to serve. I'm grateful for prophetic leadership at every step of this process. Personally, I have to ask, when this guy was sitting in a room with the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, why didn't they discern anything troubling about him? Or maybe they did, and that's why after 23 years in church employment, he went out on his own. Now let's go to the church news, where it says, all are invited every 6 months to gather for General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and thousands of people work tirelessly behind the scenes to make General Conference a success. A behind-the-scenes video from the church introduces viewers to members of the staging crew and their Herculean task of moving and assembling the stage for each General Conference, which takes about 3 work weeks to do. In the video, Joel Wright, the supervisor of the staging crew, said setting up for General Conference conference is such a large task that sometimes he wonders how it can all be done, but he knows they receive divine help. One can only imagine the number of items that have to be set up for conference, and I've seen the hand of the Lord involved in that, he said. Wright has been involved in setting up General Conference since the first meeting was held in the Conference Center in April of 2000. In the video, other staging crew members describe and show what it takes to put all the pieces in place. They move 18 individual modules, which are the size of a living room and each weighs 1.5 to 4 tons. A system of air blowers near the ground floats them in and out. Then, 500 or more little pieces are part of putting together the rest of the rostrum, chairs, brass handrails, and more. All of this work allows those attending in person and those watching the broadcast around the world to be able to receive personal revelation as the prophet, apostles, and general authorities and officers give counsel and direction from the Lord. So do these people think that if they met in a building that wasn't so grand that they wouldn't be able to receive personal revelation? Interesting. You know what else this sounds like to me? A group of people working really hard on completing a task. When they say it's essentially a miracle that can only come from Mormon God or Jesus, it makes me think that their bar for miracles is very low. Jesus healed people. He turned water into wine. I guess because of the lack of those types of miracles in the Mormon church, people doing what they're paid to do is all they could come up with. Now let's go to the Ex-Mormons subreddit for this post. I know this isn't really a normal post for this page, but I really need help. I live with both my parents and my 4 siblings. My parents are becoming way more strict now that my oldest sibling is leaving for his mission. Soon I'll lose all social media other than YouTube likely, and my parents want me to do many things such as getting my patriarchal blessing, which feels so wrong as I don't believe in the church, though they don't know that. Another thing is they want me to go to seminary. I've been waking up at 4:30 to make it to seminary, which is nearly impossible because they have family home evening at 9, which lasts until 9:30. I'm never fully awake and it's always affecting me. They're making me go to the temple twice a month and it's horrible. I get a disgusting feeling when I'm there. The temple itself is poorly designed. As an athlete, I'm no stranger to being exposed around other kids my age, but it's different when I'm in a stall that barely covers me fully and I'm next to a grown man who could try to do something to me, which is unlikely, but it's happened before to young men and women at the temple. But if I don't make it, they will take my phone for a week. My parents themselves are rather dysfunctional. My dad's amazing. He's always been a wonderful father unless it involves the church. My mother is very manipulative to not only my dad, but us as well. She often takes her frustration out on us and is a horrible mother to my youngest brother, who suffers from many mental problems and others that I won't disclose, but they stem from really severe anxiety. She seems to have given up on raising him correctly and lets him sit behind a screen for hours. My parents care more about doing what the church says than my siblings and my well-being. Most of my siblings and I have had very serious mental health issues that with no doubt stem from the way we have and are being raised. There's much more I could say that is way worse than I've already said, but I won't because it's very personal. I know this was long and I don't know if I did it right as I've never used Reddit because I'm not allowed, but I really need advice on what I can do to improve my situation. If not, then I'm just glad I got to vent a little. Thanks. You know, I've often heard that a cult is an organization that won't let you leave with your dignity intact. I would add, a cult is also an organization that won't let you leave at all. And last up today, let's finish with this quote that says, "People saying that LGBTQ plus stuff in schools isn't appropriate for kids, or that diversity's BLM performance was too much for kids to handle. This country is messed up. By the time I was 4, I was told in depth about a man who was tortured and made to carry a huge piece of wood through a town, then had a sword placed through his side, and then had his hands and feet nailed to this piece of wood and left there to die." And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.